Transnet workers are continuing with their wage strike as negotiations continue under the guidance of the CCMA. More unions have joined the protest in solidarity. We now cross to our reporter Athi Mtongana, who's following the story, the Cape Town leg of the march. Athi, we know that you have been interacting with the various members who've come out in their numbers, some in support, saying that the cost of living is high and they will not back down until their demands are met.
Yes, Mpho, that's the message that we have been receiving from workers since the day that they downed the tools as far back as last week. And of course, many are calculating the loss to the economy in terms of rands each day that these workers are not reporting to work for duty. Some have calculated and predicted losses of about 6 million to 8 million rands a day. Some are calculating losses to the tune of billions of rands per day as a result of this continuing strike by Transnet workers who are based at some of the harbours across the country, and of course these ones here at the Cape Town harbour. Now, when we spoke to the SACP, they talked about how in that negotiating table that is now in Johannesburg having talks about the wage increases, that is of course between Transnet, the entity, the two unions, Sitau and Untu, as well as of course the CCMA. The SACP is saying that they should talk beyond the percentages that are being thrown around, that they should also look at issues pertaining to the insourcing of workers, for example. There are many other issues that they, as the SACP, feel that should be forming part of those negotiations in Johannesburg as the workers out here continue to picket. They have today received the support of COSATU as well as FEDUSA and the SACP. So what I also know, Mpho, at this stage is that the work that is supposed to be done at the ports is on hold, but the city of Cape Town has come out to say that there are contingency plans that they're trying to put in place so that work can continue at the ports. Remember, there are shipments, there are exports and imports that are being affected as these workers continue to protest outside the premises of Transnet. I'd like us to listen to what the SACP had to say.
We want to challenge the economy's business to put pressure on Minister Pravin, on the board, on the president, to ensure that these workers are given what the demands they want. Not only these workers, right, including public sector workers. And here, actually, we are calling for solidarity strike, right, so that this strike can be effective, right, so that workers can appreciate on how this connect. What is the meaning of 5% with this work? 4% with this workers? It's nothing, right? If you are to get what the lowest worker earns, you'll be very surprised.
How much is it?
You'll get that later.
I suppose it's quite important at this stage, Athi, as the talks are underway with the intervention of the CCMA, as the workers are out there in their numbers, that the reasons for the strike, they have been saying throughout the course of the week that they had no choice but to come to this in the midst of the economy said to have been losing billions of rands per day.
I want to read to you some of the reports that are coming out on social media. Nick Headley saying that First Rand Chair Roger Jardine says thousands of kilometers of South Africa's rail network are out of action as the country is continuing to lose about 40 to 50 billion rands a year in export revenues. And then Transnet will allow third-party operators to run some slots, but this falls well short of what is required. Nick Hadley further says that the ongoing strike over the wages is impacting container and car terminals at South Africa's Durban port. Remember, this is a nationwide strike action. He further says a unit of a state-owned logistic company says this, and then he further says lastly that the strike could also disrupt fruit exports from Transnet's Cape Town port as we draw into the fruit season. So these are just some of the projections that are coming out as these workers continue to strike. We also know that the Minerals Council is also projecting millions and billions of rands in mineral exports in terms of losses as a result of this strike. So on the other hand, you have the workers saying that, well, they might be predicting all these financial losses, which are obviously dealing a blow to the country's ailing and recovering economy. And it's also impacting the recovery plan and the reconstruction of our economy, the plans to rebuild the economy post the COVID-19 pandemic. They're saying they have noted all of these analysis, but on the other hand, they're saying that the cost of living is quite high, given the inflation rate, and that number that has been offered by the employer is way below that, and they will not be accepting anything lower than the inflation rate, saying that a 5% is an insult. They remain adamant to demand that 13%, but it's been interesting to note that there has been no update either from Transnet, Satau or Undu that are currently in those negotiations in Johannesburg. But of course we'll keep tracking those talks, and hopefully something tangible, a solution out there will come from those negotiations.
Very well, Athi Mtongana, bringing us the latest on the ground when it comes to the Transnet strike, the Cape Town leg of it.